Good day, folks. Namaskar. This is Bob in the house. Saturday roundup of what's happening globally in geopolitics. The main, obviously, news out there is the U.S. elections, and there's a lot of stuff against Biden for him to step down. Then there's Trump and his assassination attempt, and whether that's going to help him or not going to help him in the coming elections. Then you've got a lot of editorials, op-eds out there about strategic autonomy. But let me know, strategic autonomy is only critical if you're technologically sound, which we are not, financially, economically strong, which while Manoj Joshi tried to make a show of that we are not. In the region, in fact, our per capita income is less than Bangladesh, right? So now I'm not sure how we're going to carry that, this geopolitical heft that he talks about. It's not going to happen. Strategic autonomy without that just ain't possible. Third, strategic autonomy without a proper defense complex is also not possible. The vice chief, air chief has come out and said, hey, it's okay about Atam Nirbhar and all that, but it can't be at the expense of our own national security, which is what's going to end up being, which is actually what's happening. And we are rebranding and restamping and sending it all out. And a lot of stuff made in China now is getting caught by the Ministry of Defense as being sold as made in India, right? Well, let's come back. Strategic autonomy, much used, much abused. We don't have strategic autonomy, right? When you talk about strategic autonomy, you got to think about this, right? What side is your bread button? Which actually is measured by money outflow, money inflow. Right. Money inflow and technology inflow is what helps India. Where is that money and technology inflow coming? From the Western countries, right? Whether it is through exports, where are we in surplus? The United States, European Union. Where is money coming in from other places that's improving our current account, which is all our Khadi deshes, all from Middle East, all our workers working, right? Important to us, right? Where's the money going out? Russia, China. All our imports are coming from Russia and China. So for no reason can they be part of the strategic autonomy. We're just stuck in this group because we just haven't been able to build our economy. We just have not done and built our manufacturing. Let's face it. So what do we have here? In the United States, folks, political violence haunts America. The attack may boost Trump's prospects, but the larger story of the US's democratic backsliding and violence should worry the rest of the world. I like the way these op-eds come out. This political violence, we've written the playbook on that. We've got political violence for the last 10 years, right? Our democracy has been sliding over. All democracies have been backsliding, right? And then you have subdued and bandaged. Trump gets a hero's welcome at RNC. Supporters chant fight as GOP officially names him president nominee. The re-engineering of GOP under Trump's dominance of the Republican platform has allowed him to fuse his policy beliefs with the political character of the party itself. Now, how J.D. Vance's Indian-American wife shaped him, U.S. President defends his mental acuity, regrets bullseye remark on Trump. But here's the thing, folks. At the end, it's going to come down to the two swing states, Ohio and Wisconsin. Which way are they going to go? And 4 months is a long time. I don't think you can write, or you should let Biden stay in. That's my opinion. Because Trump, his speech at the RNC was just rambling and rambling and rambling. And then when you have the poll on that, you're finding that there are more people disliking him, right? You don't compare him to Biden, but a lot of people out there are just not for him, right? And what do you have there by Michael? And he writes it right. Vasura, the Dawn and the Hillbilly. J.D. Vance as vice president nominee boosts the Republican ticket. And the failed assassination attempt on Trump is likely to give him a big bump. But the election's still not a done deal for GOP. And it is not. And it's going to be too close to call. And as Ian Burmer writes, a Biden-sized problem for the U.S. Democrats. The decision on Biden's future rests with the president himself, and it's impossible to know for sure what he'll do. For now, he appears intent on staying the course and trying to change the subject. But with each passing day, the pressure for a change at the top of the Democratic Party's presidential campaign is growing. Let me just say this. The same thing happened when Biden and Hillary. And this whole camp, which included Obama and Bill Clinton, just kind of navigated it all the way to Hillary, and Hillary lost, right? And then Saibal Das Gupta is why India comes up trump. If America sees regime change, it may go easy on Russia and take a more hostile stance on China, but it will not be easy at all. Why? Because despite these positives, though, there is one area of concern about Trump's possible presidency, his attitude towards immigration. This would adversely affect Indian students and IT workers in the US, not to mention have a great impact on the Indian tech companies. And don't forget Saibal Das Gupta, now the largest number of illegal immigrants are from India, Gujarat and the Punjab. Gujarat on top though, right? How Indian Americans are shaping the future of the US, writes Frank of Islam. Indian Americans play a major role in shaping America's future. However, there are areas where they need to do better. But these Indian Americans, we always kind of, project Indian Americans are Indian Americans. Indian Americans are Indian Americans. They're Americans first and Indians second. I don't even know why they write Indian Americans. They're Americans, right? If they're American citizens. Even the green card holder, while abusing the United States, the country of where he lives and makes all his moolah, all their real money is made in the United States, courtesy of the United States, right? But they're still abusing. Oh, the law and order is not good. My house gets broken into. Oh, I'm so sad, right? But they're able to play golf in Palm Springs, right? And enjoy skiing on the slopes of Aspen, right? You can't do that here, right? Oh, poor India, right? Anyway, then we have this. India values its strategic autonomy, says MEA after US envoy's remark. This is what I'm saying, strategic autonomy ain't going anywhere. And this is the Stanley Johnny. He says India had a case for strategic autonomy. India's partners in the West must understand that New Delhi wants the international system to be more representative in line with geopolitical reality. Well, just for Stanley John, does that mean Russia and China basically or only Russia and China? That's all it was. Russia and China, they need to be represented in the world. They obviously are, right? Resurrection of son of a gun. This is Trump, right? Mind over matter. Trump, of course, is a past master of extreme rhetoric. At rallies, he has called his political opponents communists, Marxists, fascists, radical leftists, thugs that live like vermin within the confines of the country. He wants police to shoot shoplifters on sight and says illegal immigrants are poisoning blood of our society. Something similar to what's happening in India. Look, they're wanting name tags to be put on the entire UP and Uttarakhand now, right? For this Kavar Yatra. Why? To distinguish who is the Alphabet, but it also is going to hurt who is the Dalit, who is the OBC, who is the lower caste. And Pradbal Dal Samta, unstable states of America. India straddling the middle ground with America may grow harder, obviously, and it really grows harder, Sabal, is more because of what's happening internally. If our internal situation was any better, the straddling would be a lot easier. And this is really the issue. The Chinese tangle in India-Russia relation. Russia is playing to Chinese tunes. It played that with that in Kailash Hills. It played that with false assurances when the PLA was putting together one of the largest troop movements in TAR and went and took over Galwan. Modi and Moscow in a balancing act. New Delhi's ties with Russia have held strong, but the challenge now is to make the West see reason in India's strategic choices. Well, the only gloop-de-gook you're being able to sell is that by doing what we're doing, we're making sure that Russia does not get any closer to China. Right now, there is no light between Russia and China. I'm not even sure how we're trying to put our little foot in. And believe me, it's a little foot, right? And we are funding the war. So if America can be called out for genocide against Palestine, for supplying arms to Israel, what about India? India, by buying all that oil, is essentially funding the Russian war, right? Modi's tightrope walk on Russia-Ukraine. This is by Indrani Bagchi. PM visited Russia as both he and Putin need each other. Problem is, until the thorny Ukraine issue is resolved, Delhi-Moscow ties will remain uncomfortable, and we may keep wishing and wanting to wish away this problem, but it ain't going away even if Trump comes in. Modi's visit shows our relations with Russia not legacy holdout. We will cooperate with Russia for our interests as we would others. Modi's Ukraine peace message consistent with India's position till hostilities began in 2020. So this DB Venkatesh Verma, ambassador to Russia, obviously brainwashed. Anybody who goes to China and Russia ends up getting brainwashed by these guys. And also, what are they called? Sparrows. They are these good-looking KGB agents, right? And apparently they've been used against our ambassadors, all the naval officers who go there, and every bit of that, right? Afghan common ground in India-Russian relations. Is it really? Prioritized leadership level attention to Afghanistan could go a long way in revisiting at least some of the common ground on security. I don't think it's going to happen because, no. India and Russia have doubled rupee-ruble payments in 2024. So basically, poor Russia has gotten saddled with this useless rupee. Technically it is useless because that rupee is not buying anything for the Russians. In fact, what it may end up doing is forcing them to buy a lot of Indian productive assets. And you suddenly may have Russian-controlled companies in India. Right? Whether it's going to help employment, whether it's going to help India in the long term, I don't know. But the money that they're getting in this is that rupee, as Lavrov has said, is of really no use. Illegal ICG on Israel's presence in Palestine, like I said, right? Russian warships arrive in China for joint naval exercises, and while they are doing that, we also are saying to ourselves, hey, if they are doing that, let's also get our act together for the Quad, right? But in this meantime, this is important for India to play out. Exiled Tibetan leadership welcomes Biden's assent on the Resolve Tibet Act. And then you see this Tibetan government in exile looks to release map to counter China, right? This is Penpa Tsering. Now, this is important. And where does India stand on this map that's going to come out, right? Which will also then apparently then have a scene with India because a lot of old Tibet had parts of what now India has. And interestingly, this also the ascendancy to the next Lama. Where are we going to stand on that? And on the border of China is what is shameful, and that's why Chinese are occupying everything. Villages on LAC deserted, Shah bats for job growth. Panel gives report to Uttarakhand CM, suggests repopulation measures. Mantri pitches for co-op boost, green energy use and border villages. Now what is this, right? Marshall Island, wooed by China and US inks India deal on 4 projects. India backs Mauritius against UK on Chagos Islands, and that we should, and we should get something in return. This is important too. Adani eyes port in Vietnam to tap trade opportunities. India to push its agenda, its Indo-Pacific agenda at meet of Quad EAMs. Okay, now Quad is what Russia is trying to counter Quad with all those naval exercises, right? With China. In Kathmandu, no end to power games. So Kathmandu, like I said, someone gentleman from the army basically got up and told me everything is well, this government will last. Well, I don't think everything is well, right? You can see that. And see this, our closest ally now fallen apart. Because they also got some solid contradictions, the same ones that are running through in India. Hasina government calls an army as Bangladesh job quota crisis deepens, and we also have a huge job crisis. Security forces fire bullets, sound bombs. Would prefer India to implement the Teesta projects as Bangladesh PM, but unfortunately that ain't going to happen. Bangladesh and China signed 28 pacts as Hasina meets Xi. They signed and then she ran because China just could not give the same financial commitment she was hoping for. Making deterrence on terrorism work in J&K. The terror strikes in Jammu call for refining India's Pakistan policy. Delhi now has to decide how deterrence can be achieved through a more coercive posture. Unfortunately, we've gutted the Indian army, right? With this Agniveer. Border LOC in Jammu region lack valley-type anti-infiltration grid. Terrorists are now carrying deadlier weapons like US-made M4 assault rifles that are customized with thermal imaging sights. And our army is fighting with its hands and untrained Agniveers, right? Time to deliver another Peer Panjal punch, as Arjun Subramaniam writes. Terror is back in Jammu. 20 years back, an army operation destroyed terror havens in the area. A similar exercise is needed today to counter extremists seeking to derail G&K process. 20 years back, folks, the army was the army. 20 years from now, and now, army is really not the army, because the top echelon of the Indian army has been compromised. So has the middle echelon. Right? It's just now it's turning out to be much like the Pakistani army, which is very shameful. Iran President-elect Pezeshkian ready for constructive dialogue with Europe. So Iran and China both are playing the googly. Let's somehow split the United States and Europe. NATO is stronger than ever. Russia will fail in Ukraine, says US President. Well, if you keep supplying arms, that will definitely happen. NATO at crossroads, new purpose, fresh challenges. Amidst the churn, the recent visit of Minister Modi to Russia highlighted India's potential to bridge a fragmented world order in making, but it just can't, because we are such hypocrites as far as our democracy is concerned, that nobody is going to go along with us and nobody is going to believe us. Pakistan, 10 soldiers among 28 killed in militant attack. So the soldiers, so what's something in common, right? Pakistani soldiers are getting killed by militants. Indian soldiers are getting killed by militants. Hey, I'm in the same boat. And then, like I said, at the end of the day, in time to reset rules of the South Asian game by Happy Mohan Jacob, he says, but India's catch-up game in South Asia is too late, too little, and has its limitations. We may need to think differently. The reason why the current strategy to win back the region by playing catch-up to China is unlikely to work is because those strategies amount to playing by the old rules. The rules that once worked for India won't work for any longer. Instead, they benefit China now. Old rules give more spend, more and outbid China will ultimately only help China, because let's not forget, China can outspend India in this region. Way outspend. To pose that somehow differently, what do you do when your adversary challenges you in your region? You pull out the oldest trick in the statecraft, get the adversary's adversary, the United States in this case, and its allies in the case, to restore the lost balance of power. The structure of the balance of power in South Asia is today shaped by India, China, and other South Asian states, and all these things considered, it is disadvantageous to India. To correct that flawed balance of power, India must bring in others who can work with the country on domains such as security, development, economy, and defense. Even at the same time, the neighborhood first push goes on. So, folks, as I said, you got to punch and box on borrowed legs for the time being till you are able to build the technical, defense, and economic heft. For that first, folks, you need peace within the country, not the demonization of minority, and not basically dividing the society. 3 cheers, Jai Hind.